your sister's room. That's where it started.
Hello, this is Paul.
This is Laura.
And I'm Alton.
We are Team Derringer.
And you are listening to Derringer Discoveries,
where we take you, the listener, on an adventure.
a music adventure. Listeners, we are thrilled to have with us today all four members of what many consider to be a supergroup. The band is comprised of excellent singer-songwriters and highly talented musicians. Each member has a solo career of his own, but they have come together to form this exceptional group. We think they are terrific. Fantastic even. May we introduce to you Fantastic Cat. The band members are Anthony D'Amato, Brian Dunne, Don Dilego, and Mike Montali. Guys, we can't thank you enough for spending some time with us here at Derringer Discoveries. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Did I get the names right?
Sure. Yeah, they're good.
Well, listeners, you may have seen Fantastic Cat on the Saturday Session segment of CBS Saturday Morning back in August of 2022. I caught their set of songs on the show and found them to be, well, fantastic. And I hear they're going to make a return visit soon. June 8th, I believe. Guys, am I correct in this?
Yeah, we'll be there on June 8th.
Do you guys do that live, or do you show up a day or two early and record it, and then they show it on Saturday?
I can't reveal the secrets.
Yeah, Gail King will string us up by our shoelaces.
Well, we're definitely going to be watching. We watched your last one, and I already put it on my calendar. Fantastic Cat on CBS Saturday Morning, June 8th.
Sounds like a good Saturday.
Absolutely. It'll be fantastic.
All right, Fantastic Cat, I have to know. Obviously, it's a fantastic name, but you're more than just Fantastic Cat. Looks like you use cat as your image. Each of you have multiple pictures going with the cat image. So tell us about this. How did this develop? How did you come up with this? And how long do you plan to run with it?
We're changing our name after this interview.
Domestic dog?
We didn't, this project just started out originally as sort of a couple weekends of recording with some friends. And when we decided to perform a show, we kind of were sitting in a bar in New York saying, we got to come up with some name. And there's really not a name that's going to sound good because band names are inherently awkward until they are not, right? And so we kind of threw out a few things that didn't work. And then we, had a beer and we said, like, on the next one, the bartender comes back, let's just ask her for a name, and we shook hands, and we said, whatever she says, that's our band name, because they're all equally dumb. So she came back, and we said, hey, quick question. If you're going to name our band, she took a look at us, what would you call us? And she did not blink. And she said right away, she goes, you're Fantastic Cat.
Nice.
That's it. And now we're just a merchandising company who plays some songs.
Who does your artwork? You have some fantastic artwork to go along with Fantastic Cat.
My wife Jane Beard is an illustrator and an artist, and when we had that name, we went to her and said, "Can you turn us into cats?" And that became the cover art for the first EP. Then that just slowly morphed into these giant cat head masks that we wear in all of our photos and videos and everything. Then that turned into our iconic Folk Rock for Pussies t-shirt, which is the only thing keeping us a band at this point.
Yeah.
She did a great job. Love it.
Amazing.
She went with it for the cover of your Best Of album as well, which is nice. And then I noticed on your new EP, or your recent EP, you kind of went with what I might call sort of a classic look with your outfits, and then on top of the cat. Any thoughts on that? How did that arrive?
Yeah, the new album, now that's what I call Fantastic Cat. The cover is it's us in our cat masks, but some royal garb. I would guess. I don't know. This was kind of your idea, Mike. Where did you come up with the royalty?
That's his pajamas.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to do something that was a bit surreal, perhaps, or just a little different. And I'm a big fan of like photography where the band is doing dressed up as different things. And I thought if we were all dressed up as royalty, that would be a completely ridiculous album cover that nobody would expect. And surprisingly, everybody liked it instantly.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really happen too often. So once we get a yes from all of us, it's kind of like we have to do it.
It's a rarity.
Yeah, we have to do it. So yeah, we're just thinking of weird things that the Cats could dress up as, whether it's sumo wrestlers or whatever. And I was like, what about royalty? And it kind of stuck.
Yeah, it's cool. It gets your attention. Yeah.
Hey, this is Anthony from Fantastic Cat coming to you from New York City. You are listening to Derringer Discoveries, a music adventure podcast.
Come on, I'm getting impatient. I got a lot of feelings and I'm hoping you'll erase them. Standing by the front door, just waiting on a meteor to land. If I can rise above it, then I'd rather just be flat.
Yeah, I'd like to know who has the wry sense of humor and wrote up the band's bio for the upcoming concert here in Charlottesville.
Oh, it's probably me. Yeah.
Is that Brian?
Yeah.
We've been trying to take the piss out of band bios and press releases and have a little fun with it, because they're always so self-serious and they always say the exact same thing, and nobody cares that this is your most personal album yet.
Yeah.
We made our most impersonal album to date, and we want you to know it.
My favorite line out of it is said, "Fantastic Cat is back and older than ever."
And it's so true. It really is.
Technically true.
It is. You can't argue with it.
So Fantastic Cat is currently touring extensively throughout the United States. It looks like you guys will be heading over to Europe in the fall. And on June 14th, 2/3 of Team Derringer will be seeing the show at the Southern in Charlottesville. And if peer pressure kicks in, all three of us will be there. Tell us about the tour.
Brian, why don't you take that?
Yeah, so we're kicking off on June 7th, which is the album release show that's going to be in Brooklyn. Kind of slinking down the coast. We just finished a West Coast tour all around the country, and we're going to be heading down the East Coast right when it gets really, really hot. We're going all the way to Atlanta and back in a van that has questionable air conditioning. So we're really excited about it.
That sounds like some of your guys' song lyrics.
Well, we got to the car, well, the car wouldn't start for nothing. So we pushed in a second and we somehow got it running.
I think there's a subtext of that experience in a lot of our music, and a lot of the music on the new record, because we're a hardworking band, and we're ready to tour and ready to share this music with people. We're really excited about the record. 3 of the songs are out already as we're speaking today, and then the last single later on that'll come out before the record that just came out on Tuesday.
Later on, when they've all gone, I'll save a seat next to me for the long ride home.
And we're gearing up. We're pulling out all the stops. We got a music video coming out that's got some friends of ours in it, and we're really excited. So yeah, it should culminate in either a massive success or a colossal failure, or somewhere in between.
I could blame it on the proof of the alcohol, but to tell the truth, oh, it's all my fault.
You are listening to Derringer Discoveries.
Have you toured in Europe before?
We have toured in Europe. We'll be going back.
We have a few times already. Each of us have gone over there and on our own and toured, but we kind of got lucky and had some folks that wanted to bring us over there very early stages of this band, and that gave us a lot of like a kickstart over there. We played a few festivals. We played a great one in Ireland, and we can't wait to get back, because the shows over there and traveling over there is always much shorter distances than traveling over here.
Well, we have listeners in 30 plus countries, including Ireland, and Brian actually played a concert in Europe.
Yeah. Brian, it was when you were in Purmerend, Netherlands.
Yeah.
Okay.
A musician friend of the podcast, Patrick Oxener, he opened the show for you.
Cool.
He said nothing but good stuff about you. You can.
Oh, Well, that's good.
You can rest easy.
Are you sure he's got the same guy?
Yeah, same guy. We know. No, he was really excited and very complimentary. So, well done.
Cool. All right. Well, shout out to Patrick.
Jij luistert naar Derringer Discoveries, een muziekavonturenpodcast.
So glad you made it.
My name is Alana Joy from Cape Town, South Africa. I love listening to Derringer Discoveries, a music adventure podcast.
We're so glad you made it.
All right, let's do the countdown. This is Derringer Discoveries' top 5 picks so far by Fantastic Cat. And to mix it up a little bit, even though the three of us have our favorites and we love everything Fantastic Cat does, we wanted to have each member tell us their personal favorite. So we'll start with 5, we'll go down to 2, and then Team Derringer will weigh in with the top pick, the number 1 pick that Team Derringer will relay at that moment. So for now, let's start with number 5. And we just kind of randomly chose. It has nothing to do with anything other than just how we typed it. But Mike,
Not bad.
it's true. Mike, I started with you. Mike Montali, if you would tell us what is your personal favorite song at this moment by Fantastic Cat?
I think my personal favorite right now would have to be Oh Man.
Oh man, oh man, just doing the best we can.
I think out of all the tunes on the album, it's probably the most collaborative. It started out with Don kind of having a great chorus and some chord progressions, and then Anthony adding in some great lyrics, and Brian adding in an amazing instrumental guitar hook. And then I kind of had that little Motown groove. So it's kind of the one that we all sing on, which I also like. And the way it was written and recorded, I think it just has the most band spirit. So that's kind of why I picked Oh Man.
Sonny wrote a check that he knew he couldn't pay, so he gathered up his shit and he headed for LA. But he only had the gas so to get him halfway. So now he lives in Indiana. Oh man.
Is the protagonist a real person? He writes a bad check and has to run across the country, only makes it halfway before he runs out of gas. Is he real?
It's actually Brian. It's really Brian. So.
I am been known to bounce checks.
Are you coming to us live from Indiana?
I actually can't tell you where I am.
Well, that's a fantastic choice. Mike, I love that song too. Oh, man.
For number 4, Anthony, we're putting you on the spot. What is your favorite Fantastic Cat song so far?
It changes from day to day based on if I remember how to play the bass on that song or not. Right now, on the spot, there's a song Mike brought to this record called "The Hammer and the Nail." I just love playing that one live. It's a song it hasn't come out yet, but when we play it, everybody's singing along before the song is over. It's one of those ones you can kind of pick up real quick.
When all your friends they hire a lawyer and you don't recognize who's in your bed.
And I just think it does a really nice job of balancing like genuine emotion and also just straight up humor in a way that I think we're always kind of chasing with this band. And it has the same chords the whole way through, so it's really hard for me to mess it up on the bass. I still do, but it's hard.
So, Anthony, I've got a question for you. You talked about playing bass, and I'm trying to think back to the Saturday session. Did I see you guys move around to different instruments for different songs?
We all swap everything during the shows. So whoever's playing drums moves to bass, bass moves to guitar. For every song is a different configuration of this band and who's singing lead and who's doing harmonies and all that. On CBS, when we did it last time, I think we did a couple of songs where I was on acoustic and one where I was on bass, and Don was on drums for one song and then bass for another and then guitar for another. And Don and Mike are the primary drummers back there. Brian and I fill in on some of the more simple.
I've been practicing a lot, though.
That makes one of us.
Anthony, will The Hammer and the Nail be released? And what date will it be released on?
Yeah, it's on the new record, so it comes out June 7th.
Are listening to Derringer Discoveries.
With listeners in more than 30 countries.
Brian, this next one's for you. What's your favorite Fantastic Cat song? And tell us, when you come up with a song, because I know you're also a solo artist, how do you know which song to contribute to Fantastic Cat, and which ones do you keep for your solo act?
That's a good question. Okay, well, first I'll give you my favorite song. Well, I should say first, I'm not really a fan of this band. I really like heavier things, like headbanger music, kind of stuff like that. But if I had to pick a Fantastic Cat song, I would pick a song that also hasn't come out yet called So Glad You Made It, which is just a really a beautiful song that Don wrote. Yeah, I don't know. There's something special about this song. I think people are really going to take to it.
I read the news and her interviews. She went up, she went high, went low.
It's got this chorus that just goes on forever, and it I don't know, it just feels very timeless. And yeah, it's one of those songs that feels like it's always been there. You know, and then yeah, regarding songwriting, I feel like I don't know how the other guys do, but I feel like when I'm trying to like divide what I'm going to put on a solo record versus a Fantastic Cat record, I generally think about whether or not. Well, first we do have like an aesthetic, this band, so there are certain songs that I just feel like that sounds right for Fantastic Cat versus something for my solo work, but also just more or less that if I would be willing to bend this idea or change this idea or be open to, you know, input on it. That's usually like if I read a song and I'm like, yeah, I like this, but I'm not sure it's done. That's usually what I bring to Fantastic Cat if I'm open to change.
Generally, if Brian brings us a song that's not good enough for the band, that's what goes on his solo records.
Gotcha. Answers that question.
You can twist the truth, but the rules remain the same. And there ain't no way around. So I said, babe, if you ain't swimming, you drown.
So it's back to me. So I'm talking with Don Dilego of Fantastic Cat, and we're asking Don, what's your favorite song by Fantastic Cat at this moment?
Which of the songs that I wrote are the best on this record? Let me think. I think, like Anthony says, it does change, honestly, a lot. You know, I agree with Mike. Oh Man is something that I feel hits the nail on the head for what this band is and what we do. But I think at the moment, probably Sometimes Your Heroes Let You Down.
But your love for me was a bitter pill, but I swallowed hard and sat there soft and still.
It's a tune that Brian had.
And every time I tried to trust someone, I would come undone. And I was theirs to kill.
On its surface was very complex and kind of hard for us to grasp the arrangement of, but we kind of pulled it together in one session. And it's definitely my favorite recording on the record. I just really love throwing some headphones on and listening to that song. And there's beautiful strings in there and some horns. And it's not overbearing, but it's just something that I feel very proud that this band did. You know, it felt like a leap forward for us in our sort of production and arrangement and playing and stuff like that. So that's currently probably my favorite to listen to.
When the lights come up, you'll see it for what
Hey, this is Mike from Fantastic Cat. I'm happy to be on Derringer Discoveries, a music adventure podcast.
So before I announce Team Derringer's pick number one and our listeners' pick number one, I just got to talk about a couple of other songs of you guys that are so fantastic. Come on, Armageddon, Fiona, Nobody's Coming to Get You.
Nobody's coming to get you, yeah.
Nobody's coming to get you, baby. Nobody's coming to get you.
That's just a great song, not to mention the videos that go along with these. I mean, you guys are the real deal. Your videos are fantastic. We love them.
Thank you.
Thanks. I like to think it's partially my acting chops that really help bring them all into focus. I don't know if you've ever like spotlighted sort of my acting in the videos, but it's like pretty exceptional.
I will say that definitely Brian's acting brings out how good we are comparatively to him. So it is about Brian's acting.
And Brian is the humble member of the band. If we would have to peg each person, I would say Brian's the humble one.
You know, they've asked to turn the confidence down in my monitors before. I've heard that.
Great. Well, I tell you, I'm really looking forward to hearing the rest of the songs on the new album. I really like All My Fault. I thought that was a fantastic song. And we've got to quit using the word fantastic in this episode. I'm sorry if I do that.
I think this is one episode where we can get away with it.
No, we did that on purpose. Do you know that like a disordinate amount of people named Dennis become dentists?
Oh.
Like there's something to it. We put the fantastic in. Maybe people will think that we're fantastic.
Well, Laura, you got to tell us. I've been anticipating what is the number one pick by Team Derringer.
Listeners, this is what you've been waiting for. Team Derringer, and our listeners' number one pick is The Gig.
When we got to the gig, well, the venue was closed forever. So we drove through the night and we stayed outside of Denver. But I couldn't sleep at the thought of our impending failure. Oh, such a sad, sick game we played, trading stories and keeping score. And I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Well, we got to the lobby, so breakfast was closed.
All right. Now, why, Laura? Why is it our number one pick?
It's just such a great, catchy song, and rumor has it that there's actually some truth to the lyrics. Maybe the band can tell us what happened there.
I was playing a gig in Vermont one time, and I pulled up to the gig, and they're like, "We're closed." And I'm like, "You're closed?" They're like, "Yeah, we're closed, like forever." And it gets a big laugh when I say that every night.
Don, was it really you who pulled up to the gig?
No, that was Brian.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because Brian wrote us about it. Well, we've been fans of yours since the very beginning, since Fiona. Our listeners have voted a number of your songs onto our charts, and then we put it to our listeners at the end of 2022 to vote on their favorite song of 2022, and they chose The Gig.
Oh, that's sweet.
So that's why we picked it, because we were like, well, our listeners, they've picked it, and this is what we're relaying. Since our listeners are listening to this episode, our listeners actually decided. But you guys have had so many fantastic songs since then. I don't want you to think that it's all over after 2022, because as far as I'm concerned, 2024 with your new album, that's what it's all about. And we're excited. We love the 3 songs that you've teased us with, and we can't wait to hear the rest of them.
This is Brian Dunne from Fantastic Cat. I'm so excited to be here on Derringer Discoveries, a music adventure podcast.
Guys, do you have any shout outs to friends, family, fans?
I'd like to shout out to the fans.
Excellent.
Any fans in particular?
Do you want to name some of them?
There's this guy, he opened up for Brian. That's a big fan shout out for us.
Well, I'm telling you, he's listening to this episode. So yeah, that was good, Don. He'll definitely...
I'd like to shout out ceiling fans. I think they're really helpful this time of year.
Yeah, shout out to the fans.
Yes. Yeah.
Really, they really knocked it out of the park.
Oscillating fans, those are great too. Exhaust fans, that helps with cooking.
Yes, those are excellent.
Totally true.
Have you ever played Charlottesville before?
Not as Fantastic Cat. We've all, I think, done it plenty of times as solo artists. Or Mike, I'm sure you've done it with Hollis Brown, but this will be the first Fantastic Cat show in Charlottesville.
Well, then we want it to be a fantastic show. We'll be there doing our part in the audience to make sure Fantastic Cat wants to come back to Charlottesville all the time.
All right.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Well, that's our show. We'd like to thank Fantastic Cat, Anthony, Brian, Mike, and Don for spending some time with us today. Thanks, guys. Listeners, you can follow us on social media. We're at Derringer Discoveries on Facebook and at Derringer Pod on Instagram, X, and Threads. Guys, where can our listeners find you on social media?
We're on Instagram at Fantastic Cat Band, Facebook at Fantastic Cat Band, and Twitter at Fantastic Cat USA, because we were out of letters.
And listeners, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach us by sending an old school email to feedback@derringerdiscoveries.com.
Please be sure to subscribe to our podcast by clicking the follow button on your podcast app.
In your sister's room.
You've been listening to Derringer Discoveries.
That's where it started. In your sister's room.
See you next time. And Paul stole my thunder when he talked about you touring the Netherlands, but I figured we would at least...
Alton, you're editing the episode, so you can always just edit me out and make it all about what...
mute Paul's channel altogether. Brian, real quick, what's your favorite headbanger?
Oh, I just...
Here we go. Here we go.
No, I'm completely out of my depth. No. Strike that from the record, please.
All right, Alton, you done with Brian?
I'm done with Dunne.
You're done with Dunne.
Brian's primary on that one. He does, even though he's not the lead singer, we did let him have this one, and so he does sing on that.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you. You're welcome, Brian.
Is it somebody that you respected who disappointed you?
Yeah, Richard Nixon,
We're going to go back that far. You have to go 50 years.
We were thinking about Watergate. We thought that would be really relevant.
We have a lot of Richard Nixon songs.
Yeah, so it's really a Watergate-based... Actually, the whole record is kind of like a Watergate kind of theme.
Yeah, well, it's good that there haven't been heroes since Richard Nixon to let people down with. Yeah.
I think there's a whole list of them, probably.
All right.
We also usually play it towards the end of the set, and Anthony doesn't eat till after the show, so it's sort of a Pavlovian response where he starts salivating because he can feel his mealtime getting closer.
When Oh Man starts, we have to move the microphone away from my stomach. It's just growling. Dinner time, baby.
You're thinking, oh man, it's almost time to eat? Is that...
Oh man, it's dinner time. Yeah, that was the original chorus.
Yeah, I think that like 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So glad you made it. That's coming out on June 7th with the album?
That'll be out on June 7th, yes.
And just to make sure I heard it, what is the name of the album?
None of us know. It's called, now that's what I call Fantastic Cat.
Okay, excellent.